There's an obvious connection to Garveyism in the South
Right.
that creates the plant seeds that will harvest and bear the fruits of militancy that produces Malcolm X's father,
Right.
produces Malcolm X, produces Robert Williams. And that's usually not a story that's often told in relationship to the Harlem Renaissance or the New Negro movement.
That's right. In the Harlem Renaissance, in the kind of literature, in the art, in the essays about the Harlem Renaissance, the South is represented as the old Negro, as the place that must be saved, as the place that before you're a new Negro, you leave and you come to the North to become a new Negro. And Claudrina, the author of the essay on Garveyism in New Orleans, she's a Southern girl, and she is adamant. She's like, look, listen, the South is not the place that new Negroes left to go become new Negroes. They were new Negroes that was in the South, that was cultivated in the South, that stayed in the South, that fought and died in the South, and we need to understand that story. And so she is all about telling that story
she's talking, I mean, just to go back to the quote quickly, she's also talking about Garveyism on college campuses.
Yes.
Which is also not a version of Garveyism that we often hear much about.
That's right. And the New Negro. There's a book called The New Negro on Campus about at Fisk and Tuskegee, because if you know anything about the early days of these colleges, you know you have mostly white teachers, and you had a very strict disciplinary code because the presumption was that black people are savages,
right,
and they need to be uplifted. So you got to have separate classes and lunch halls for men and women because their sexual urges will be tempted. Right. They can't focus on their studies if they're together, if they're mixed gender-wise. We have to, as much time we spend on education, we got to spend on like hygiene and bathing and basic, reading, writing, and arithmetic at college.
Right. This is memorialized at Tuskegee, where its founder, Booker T. Washington, is lifting the veil.
Right. And Ellison said, "I'm not an invisible man." Right. He said, "Not sure if the veil is being lifted or lowered." Right.
Sorry if you're a Tuskegee alumnus.
Right. But in the 20s, as a part of this New Negro movement, there were a series of protests, college campus protests, where students were saying enough of this, what they called white patronage, being talked down to like we're children, with these hygiene classes. We want black teachers, we want black curriculum, because there weren't black studies courses. We want black curriculum.
Yeah.
Women want to be able to go off the campus without being escorted, because in this time period, if you were a black woman and you left the campus, you had to have a male escort. This is even at Howard in D.C., in the city, which Triva Lindsay, who writes about black women at Howard, talks about this as well. So we rebel at Fisk, at Howard, at Tuskegee, at Hampton, against all of this. So this is in the South.
Yeah. There's a great line. So we had a Ralph Ellison Invisible Man reading this past Saturday, and included some really wonderful people, including our own junior scholars, participating. But so Bill Jones read, Greg Tate, a couple of others. There's a line, and I can't remember who read it, where Ellison is describing, it's a sort of revenge fantasy playing out in this sequence where he talks about Dr. Bledsoe getting caught eating chitlins in public.
Yes.
And Dr. Bledsoe is this sort of archetypal Southern educator who fits the perfect description, not because he's white, but because he's the black caretaker of these uncivilized Negro students who have to go through this regiment of upliftment that takes place on campus. And he says that, in this fantasy of Bledsoe being caught eating chitlins in public, that the trustees would not be able to throw enough money to save his reputation.
That's a great quote.